With Shazam finally premiering in theaters, we now have 7 films in the DCEU universe. So let's stop and rank these movies from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies, and if you guys love to watch movies too, you guys are in the right spot. Consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as that bell notification, so you guys don't miss any of my up and coming videos. Today we're going to be talking about all 7 of the DCEU films, from Man of Steel all the way up to the most recent one, Shazam, and everything in between. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below on how you would rank all 7 of these films. Let's have a fun discussion down below. Let's keep it a respectful conversation down below and leave your thoughts with these films. So let's start this list off with number 7, Suicide Squad. I was highly anticipating Suicide Squad. I like the characters, I like the actors in this movie, but this movie is just a incoherent mess of a movie. It wants to do so much with each one of these characters, and you don't feel like you get to know any of these characters, from Harley Quinn to Deadshot to the Joker to Killer Croc. You don't know much about these characters, and they took all of these big DC characters, put them onto the screen for us to enjoy and watch them on the big screen. They're very vibrant and fun to watch, but you really don't get to know these characters. And they're going up against one of the worst villains in movie history, Enchantress, and it's a mess of a movie. It doesn't make much sense to me. I enjoyed the actors, I enjoyed seeing these characters, but I never got to know the characters, and they never really worked well as a group. And at the end, they wanted us to feel something for them. They wanted us to feel some kind of way towards these characters, and it wasn't earned at the end of this movie. Coming at number 6 is Batman v Superman. This is probably one of the biggest disappointments of all time. Man of Steel was a great film, and I was really welcoming Ben Affleck as Batman. I was really looking to seeing a seasoned Batman on this movie. But we got is a terrible film. Now, I have not seen the extended version, the director's cut, and every time I do a ranking video, someone tells me, go watch that movie. And so I still would like to watch it at some point, but this movie just left a sour taste in my mouth after seeing it. I really think this film would have worked so well if it was a conflict movie between Batman and Superman. If they would have left it alone at that, it would have been an interesting film and how they can overcome that. But you had to throw in Lex Luthor because it's Superman, and with that we had Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. A very corny, over-the-top performance. But with this movie, they were so focused on creating something big that it lost sight of the movie. There was Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Flash and Cyborg, those little snippets of these up-and-coming characters, and it lost its sight. It lost the interest for me in this movie. Like I said, if it was just a Batman and Superman movie, I think this movie could have been really good. But they had their sights on the future instead of the present. And that right there is one of the issues for me in this movie. Coming in number 5 is Justice League. Now, I think this is where we get to the okay DC movies, where the previous 2 are the bad DC movies. Justice League is an okay film. I do think that a lot of the characters that we were getting teased about from Batman v Superman get a chance to shine in here. Some don't have as much screen time. You don't get to know them as much, but some of the other characters do work in this film, and it does show that they do work well as a group. Everybody's a little bit different, but once you get them together, I think they work well as a group. Some characters aren't as strong, and honestly, they take a little bit of a step back in this movie, like Batman, but I do like them working as a group. I think they are different in their own way. Some are really cool, like Aquaman, and funny like the Flash, and underdeveloped like Cyborg. But you have also Batman and Wonder Woman in here who lead the pack, and I do think they do a great job as leaders. This movie has another bad villain. We can see what DC does is create bad villains. Steppenwolf. I really didn't find him to be a compelling villain, so I never felt like he was a large threat to Justice League. So that never puts the movie in a predicament where you're wondering, is this group going to get out of it? Is someone going to die? It never feels like the movie is urgent. It just feels safe in what they're doing. And I really would like to see this movie have such a large threat in the movie. I would like to see someone that's really complex and interesting, and I didn't get that, and it leaves the group having like a safe, easy mission. They have to get everybody together, and they never really do much in this movie for me. I don't think this movie is memorable. I've seen it once in theaters after my daughter was born, and I don't really remember much about the movie. I remember some little parts here and there, but it's a film that's very forgettable. Coming at number 4 is Man of Steel, the first DCEU film, and this movie tried to do a different approach for Superman, a more modern touch on the character, and I really like this movie. It's really tame in what it wants to be. It doesn't want to be something that sets up the future. It doesn't want to be a movie that sets up, you know, the Justice League. It's fine with being a Man of Steel movie, and I really like Henry Cavill in here. The conflict of who is he? Who does he want to be? Does he want to be a regular human, like how he lives with his family, and then he discovers more about his past and his original family? Does he want to explore that as well? So there's a lot of conflict with Clark Kent, and I like exploring that. I think the action in here is great. I love the visuals, and I like the big, grand, epic action scenes between General Zod and Superman. They really put a lot of effort into those moments, and Henry Cavill is stacked for this movie. He looks so good, and he definitely fits the part. I don't really have much issue with the character. I do think that this is a fun Man of Steel movie, but when I think of other movies in the DCEU film, the ones I'm going to talk about next are the ones that I would rather watch compared to Man of Steel. Coming at number 3 is Aquaman. This was a huge success in theaters. James Wan did a great job directing this movie. This is a lengthy movie. Aquaman is pretty long, and Jason Momoa was in Justice League. We got to see a little bit about him. It was really cool. I really liked the character, and he was a little bit in some snippets for Batman v Superman. So he's finally getting his own movie, and I think they did a pretty good job handling the character. I like exploring who Aquaman is, and you know, what does he have to do, and how he can become a bigger person and help his family, his world that he comes from. I think the visuals in here are really good, and one of my favorite things about this movie is the directing from James Wan. A lot of the action scenes, especially on the rooftops against Black Manta, when both Aquaman and Mera are running around, I like how he films this movie. There's not a lot of cuts in this movie, and you just get to be involved with the action scenes. You could tell a lot of effort went into directing this movie. This movie is funny, and I really like Aquaman as a character. Very interesting, compelling. Both he has this deep conflict between two worlds, and it's a story that I was interested in watching. I wanted to see how his story was going to play out for him and what we could do with Aquaman in the future. Now, I have a hard time with the next two. I got out of one of the movies just recently, and I thought, between these two movies, which one would I rather watch? Because both of them are really good films. But when it comes down to it, if someone gave me both of these movies on Blu-ray and said, Justin, you have to watch one of these movies, which one would you want to watch? Coming at number 2 is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a great film. It took a character that we didn't know much about because of Batman v Superman. She was in there briefly, but it took the character and made her so interesting. A really down-to-earth character that stood for something. She reminds me a lot of Captain America. She stands for the good in people. She wants to protect people. She wants to help out. And she will go into any moment and just try to save a lot of people. And I really love that about this movie, that it really captures the heroic moments of Wonder Woman and what she stands for. I like the exploration of her world and her, people, and the people that she lived with, and how she traveled outside that world with Chris Pine, and how she was like a fish out of water. And they handled those moments really well. Both of those worlds are done so well, and I think Patty Jenkins did a great job directing this film. This is at times a funny film. It's a really great action movie, and it understands its characters and what the character stands for as well, and how she can protect the world. I love this movie. It is one of my favorite superhero movies. But when it comes down to it, which one would I rather watch? And I saw Shazam the other night, and I think Shazam is my favorite DCEU film. This film is really funny, and it has some really good chemistry between Shazam and Freddie Freeman. And Zachary Levi playing the character, he does a great job of being that big, grand superhero, as well as acting like a teenager. So he did a great job portraying both of those roles. The action in here is great. It reminds me a lot of Man of Steel. It also has some really good character development. You have the character who doesn't really have a family, and he has to learn about his powers and learn the importance of a family. It's a fun, upbeat movie. This is the kind of movie where kids in the theater stand up and start dancing at some of the moments. It really captures what a teenager would do with superpowers and how they can learn more about themselves. It's a fun, entertaining movie that never loses sight of what it wants to be. And between Wonder Woman and Shazam, if I had to sit down and watch one today, it would be Shazam again. Maybe it's just because I just saw it, but Shazam is highly entertaining with some good emotional moments throughout. So there you guys have it, all 7 DCEU films ranked from worst to best. How would you rank these movies? You can check out my review for Shazam right over here. Stay tuned, I'll be ranking the superheroes as well as the villains. My name is JustinWatchesMovies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.